Don't you wish your girlfriend was trans like me? Don't you wish your girlfriend had a piece like me? Don't ya? Yes, honey, yes. I'm so stupid. Anyways, hello, and welcome to Cats on Demand. It is me, it is I, Cassidy the doll, and I'm here to let you have it. All right, now let's get into the things. So, you saw the title of the video, Am I Male or Female? It's more complicated than you think. So today I'm answering the question, am I male or am I female? And I've come to discover that the answer to that question is actually quite complex. So before I get into the video, I wanted to talk about the backstory to this video and what inspired this video today. So I was recently having a conversation with my husband, and we were both debating if we were a same-sex couple. If you don't know by now, I'm a transgender woman. And my husband is a cisgender man. So from my perspective, I said that we definitely were a same-sex couple, and from his perspective, he said that we were not a same-sex couple, and it sparked a whole conversation about the differences between gender and sex and gender expression and gender identity. So I figured, why not come and do a video and break down these concepts and then answer the question, am I male or am I female? So let's start with the first concept to answering this question, which is sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. So when we are when discussing sex, we are basically covering biology. We know when we talk about sex, and we're encompassing such concepts like chromosomes and reproductive anatomy, hormones, secondary sex characteristics. And we know typically when we categorize sex, we're categorizing it into male, which is going to be encompassing things like having XY chromosomes, having male reproductive organs like a penis and testes. And then we have female, which is X chromosome, and female reproductive organs like vagina, uterus, ovaries, etc. So I wanted to clarify that, sex is always not always so black and white. Not everybody fits into just male and female, and there are definitely variations in biology, which is where we have intersex people come into the picture. But anyways, so that's sex. So the next concept to answering the question of if my male or female is discussing gender identity. So we know gender is an internal sense of who you are. We know gender can be, man, woman, non-binary. And we know that gender is a social construct. So where sex is biology based and more objective, gender really is more subjective, and it's a social construct, and it involves things like certain roles, behaviors, expressions, and identities that society associates with being man, woman, or other identities. And we know it's not as easy as saying man, woman, not even non-binary is the last gender. So from my research, there's currently over 70 recognized genders. Just my research, I could be wrong, but just from what I researched, over 70 recognized genders. And gender can be, again, man, woman, non-binary, but it can also be things like agender, gender fluid, femgender, gender queer, and so on. Okay, so moving on from gender, gender identity, we're gonna go to gender expression. So what is gender expression? Gender expression is how gender is outwardly shown. Clothing, hair, makeup, even voice and body language can be expressions of gender. So gender expression doesn't necessarily determine gender ID. For example, let's talk about using makeup as gender expression. So we know our society typically associates using makeup for gender expression for women, but we know that's not always the case. Men can wear makeup, boys can wear makeup. So that's just one example I could think of how gender expression can vary from gender to gender. And it's also influenced by social and cultural norms as well. So, now that we've talked about sex, we talked about gender identity, and we talked about gender expression, now we can get on to the question and answer segment of, am I male or female? Am I male or female? The answer is really dependent on the context surrounding the question. So what I mean by the context, I really mean like the who, what, when, where, and whys of the question. Who is asking the question? What do they mean when they're asking the question, am I male or female? When are they asking the question? Is it pre-transition, post-transition? Where are they asking the question? Is it a medical facility, for example? And why are they asking the question? What is the reason behind they're asking me why I am male or female? And all of these things will ultimately determine how I answer this question. So to go further into before I answer the question, I need to clarify that and discuss how we as a society often use sex and gender interchangeably. So I clarify what these things are, but we as a society mix up sex and gender all the time. And the lines are very blurred when it comes to sex and gender in like everyday conversations, sometimes even medical care. For example, we say transgender women are male to female, and trans men are female to male. But again, I just covered earlier how female and male are associated with sex, but when we say female to male, we're using these terms associated with gender identity. Legal documents, such as your ID, your driver's license, your passport, these things also put on there sex and gender, and they minimize it to male and female. And in my opinion, when we're talking about like literal IDs, like your driver's license and things like that, is coming down to how do you present yourself. Like if somebody were to look at your ID and look at your picture and look at you in person and see that it says male or female on your driver's license, for example, does it match up with how you're presenting? Just my opinion. So again, if somebody asks me if I'm male or female, it really boils down to the context that they're asking me and why they're asking me the question, and all the other things I went over a little while ago. So if they're asking me, am I male or female, and it boils down to things like how do I identify, how I feel internally, how I navigate the world, how I understand myself, then the answer is really going to be I'm female. Now, if the context to the question, am I male or female, is really asking me about biology, then my answer is going to be I'm male. I am somebody who has XY chromosomes. I have male reproductive organs. And just like all the transphobes love to say, whatever, if you dig up my body 100 years from now and you do forensics or whatever shit, it'll say that I'm male. Okay, whatever. I'm male. Okay. So biologically, I am male. But psychologically, psychosocially, female. So, yeah, I thought this was an interesting conversation to have. And, I'm always evolving, and like most things in life, gender, sex, gender identity, gender expression, these things are not so black and white, right? They are very complex topics and subjects. And, you know, we can't approach these things with such concrete thinking, like, you know, oh, are you man? Are you woman? Are you male? Are you female? And I feel like when we approach it like that, which was honestly how I was approaching it before I had this conversation with my husband, you really are limiting and stunting your growth. So why be so in the box? Think outside of the box, honey. Think outside the binary, right? So yeah, I am a woman, a trans woman, but still under the woman umbrella, I do fall. And I am also biologically male. So that is the answer to this question. Am I male or female? I am a trans woman. I am I am psychosocially female, but biologically, I am male. There you go. There's the answer. So don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that good shit. If you are not already, follow me on Instagram, Cast on Demand. And and if you want to know more about myself, my journey with gender, and just my life in general, please buy my award-winning memoir, Brave, Story of a Trans Woman. And you know what, guys? That's it for now. That's it for this video. So until next time, stay brave. All right, bye.